Hello and welcome to this new episode of the Sovereign Society podcast. I'm so excited because I have Brittany Reid here, and it's not often I get to have other Kundalini yogis on with me. So it was like, before we started, I was like, okay, let's tune in. And I didn't have to explain anything. She was there with me. And it's really fascinating because, and she does a lot with business mentoring and business coaching. And I know for me, with a lot of my girlfriends and soul family that are Kundalini yogis, they're really understanding the importance of bringing in this Kundalini energy into our businesses and how it's really here to sustain us and to continuously clear through what's been stopping us. Mm-hmm. And to activate our life force, our Kundalini life force, to show up fully, to radiate our Radness, our Satnam. So first of all, thank you so much for being here, Brittany, and having this conversation with me. And I would love to hear, diving in, what called you to the path of Kundalini yoga, and how have you seen that weaving into your work and your business and your dharma?
I just got chills up my spine. Oh, yeah. I actually opened up B.K.S. Ingar's book, Light on Life, when I was 14. So that's over 12 years ago. And from that moment on, I had been journeying through different lineages, practicing with Ashtanga and going into Jivamukti and Dharma Mitra and the practice of Yin. And I just always allowed what felt the most curious within my body to just move through. But I had never felt devoted or truly synced with a lineage, although I love all of those lineages and they've taught me so much. But it led me to the path had led me to Vancouver, and I was living in Vancouver. I began to be a karma student at a yoga studio, and the class that I was taking care of was Kundalini with Gloria Lamreth from Semper Viva out in Vancouver. And I took the class, and it just, first I was going, what just happened? I'm like, what just happened? What did we just do? Why am I so sore the day after? And there's something here. I liked that it had intensity. I liked that it was quick. I liked that there was devotion. There's all of these pieces that were coming together that I had been missing within the other lineages that I had journeyed through. And it wasn't until actually I moved back to Saskatchewan, where I am today, and I went on a personal journey out to Alberta, where Guru Jagat was coming to bloom. And I just knew I had to go, and I met her and I had her book, and it just kind of unraveled from there. And I've never felt so in sync with myself. So understanding of where I get stuck in my own way. And also that my life tends to get all chaotic when I'm not in practice. And I didn't really see that so visually within my own life until I had quite a few shadow moments here, being back where I was birthed into this earth plane, and it kind of just became who I was. I didn't even, I mean, if there's no Kundalini classes here, there's people that practice Kundalini in the community, and we're trying to pull it together more and more, but I was practicing online, and a lot of people would ask me why I wear white so much. But
yeah,
I'm wearing beige today.
Oh, that's fancy. I wore green. I'm working on full heart chakra.
Full heart, yeah. So that's where it led me. And it just unraveled, and there was no I'm going to do this. you know, like or I'm going to try this. It was just this beautiful unraveling and blossoming flower within me, and it came deeply into my life with the plant medicine of cacao as well. So both of those came in full force.
Yeah. So how are you seeing the Kundalini and the cacao helping you or guiding you with business and bringing in more of your Satnam, your dharma, your authenticity, your truth? How is that opening up that portal?
Oh, it opens when I'm not, life can throw curveballs and life can do these things, and it comes down to my practice being the most important, and that when I'm within my practice, there is no need to try to do anything. It just happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a depth of trust that has come just from into my business through my practice. And the more I actually practice, the more my business grows. I feel like it's the Kundalini is the business strategy of our energy body. And as we develop and strengthen our aura and cleanse out our aura and get rid of the debris that's kind of hidden away in these nooks and crannies within our system, in not only our physical body, but our energy body, it helps to really be clear and bring forth to people or the products or services or courses. It really is like a creative channel, but it also shows me where I'm causing a little bit of overcomplication potentially in the masculine structures of business and the systems and that. And working with cacao, that has given me the opportunity to see aspects of myself and aspects of my business that I would never see if I didn't stop and become still. With cacao, it's sitting and being so intimate with yourself, of sipping and being so present with yourself. And then I feel like Kundalini is the gym in my life. Like I feel when I need to go and like really get that intense energy moving, it's like just going to practice. And then other times it's fighting it as well, because things come up and sometimes it needs a lot more shaking, but it comes with fear as well to work with. But the plant medicine and Kundalini has been the reason why my business is where it is. And some people don't understand that because they think it's some sort of strategy. But I'm like, no, it's this kind of work that has elevated my business and elevated my life to give me the strength and the resilience of facing the challenges that come, and also to really blast out what's truly possible, like to
Yeah.
truly feel the depth of what's possible. I feel like that's what Kundalini, the amount of strength that you realize that you have when you're in practice, is just, you can do that within business.
Yeah. And you said that perfectly. I know I had one of my girlfriends on the podcast before, Brianna Rose, and she's very big with Kundalini and business as well. And my sister, Chalice Grove, Krista Ryerson, who's also in Canada. She's also does a lot of Kundalini business and working with the archetypes. And she was on the podcast too. And Myra with Bloom. It's very fascinating to see. And I share all this because in Kundalini Yoga, we talk about the golden thread, right? And this is like the golden chain that is connecting us to each other. And I know for me, through my experience since becoming a Kundalini Yoga teacher 4 years ago, and just trusting, like signing up for teacher training without ever taking a class, but knowing that this was the yoga that I needed.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating to see how more and more people are having that deeper sense of awareness and are also being called to dabble into Kundalini more. And it's interesting because like Bloom's one of the few, but a lot of other places and yoga festivals, for instance, they don't really implement a lot of Kundalini yoga. They don't really share a lot of it. And you know, I live in a small town where there's myself and one of my girlfriends out here. We're like the only two Kundalini yogis, like teachers out here. And that is a trip to me as well, you know, and I feel like we're tapping into something that all the other yogas, as you said, are so powerful. Like I started my path with Hatha, Vinyasa, all of that. But there's nothing that's done it quite like Kundalini. Like I, you know, a lot of the breath work I'm like breath work certified and all these things, but to me, it's just been the life force that comes out of me when I'm in a Kriya. And I know even yesterday I was having a really challenging day. I practiced 3 times yesterday, you know, like morning sadhana, in the middle of the afternoon, I did this 11-minute Kriya I've never done before. And my arms were like sore. That was my trip.
The arms.
Yeah, the arms. And everyone's like, oh my God, your arms, it's so painful. It's like, yeah, because your arms are an extension of your heart. Like, this is why we're doing all these crazy poses and everything. And so I just feel so privileged and so grateful that I get to continue to share more voices about the power of this practice. And because it's a technology, truly. And I feel like Yogi Bhajan, he was really ahead of the time to understand, like, this is what we would be needing in the Aquarian Age, what I like to call the golden era. Like, this is what we would be needing.
Yeah. And I love that it's so accessible, and it's hard. It's not easy work, you know, flailing your arms around in these certain motions that we do. There's a reason why there's, you know, pain and discomfort that comes up. But it's so nice that the way this technology came through him was in these quick kriyas that you can do, so that
Manageable.
And they're manageable. It's not like going and, you know, doing a specific sauna every single day for X amount of time, and how rigid that becomes. And then you just become habitual with it. And there's no, that's what at least I felt for a long time until I went to Kundalini, because of the practices, and they're always bringing certain things up. But if for whatever reason I need a little moment in the middle of the day, just like you were mentioning, it's so accessible to just drop down, tune in, and shift a few things, and then come back in a quick manner. And that's why I feel as though it's going to become more and more aware for people, because it's so accessible for the everyday person as well. It's not like we're saying, okay, you have to do this 45-minute meditation every single day for someone that like can't even conceptualize like stopping to eat lunch. And that's where I see the power of Kundalini into business, because there's a lot of entrepreneurs that they're allowing their business to run them rather than them run their business, and allowing their system to run their business, and not like stopping everything, their self-care and their health, and really building out a strong, because like our business is technically ourself. You know,
yeah, I call it a
ourself.
holistic relationship. It's like there's no separation between you, your business, your relationships, your health. Like they are all interwoven. Like that's what creates you, your soul. Like they're all parts of you. And I think that's a huge part of what people are also understanding too, because there is that rise of entrepreneurship. There is that rise of people following their hearts, getting out of the 9-to-5, doing what lights them up, and understanding that you can use this technology to activate your energy where you won't even have to work as long.
Yeah.
That's something that is like the biggest thing, is like that's part of like my practice and understanding, is like if I'm waking up early and I have that habit to commit to myself by first honoring my worth of like filling up my cup before I be of service, you know, and seeing how that kind of flows through. It's a very fascinating time to be a businesswoman.
It is. And it's like, we have all of these tools that we can access to assist us through this journey, and to be that best friend to us that we can, you know, walk with these tools that we can walk with to create more ease and to create more flow within our life, rather than just literally like hitting a brick wall every time we try to go and do something. We have all of these tools, and I think that's why so many people are waking up, because there's so much imbalance, and there's so many people walking a path of destruction because they've just allowed their business to become the driving force, and that like they don't really have a life.
Mm-hmm.
I was speaking with a client this morning, and I said, well, if you desire time freedom, and that's why you're building all of this, why does taking one half of a day off entirely, why does that frighten you so much? Why is there so much fear? Why? If you're building that, like if you're building for time freedom, but you can't even take half of,
you have to take the action now. And
I was like, you got
it.
it.
A lot of people think it's like, once I get there, then I can.
Yeah.
But that's the muscle now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so there is this awakening of how am I eating affects my business, how my eating affects my mental health and the way I move through, and that if I eat better, I can think better, I can think clearly, which means that I'll problem solve quickly, and I can see, all those things. And then within Kundalini, it's like, okay, so you're eating for your physical body, but it's like Kundalini is like you're feeding for
your energetic body.
And then you're also rebalancing all of your hormones, which
Mm-hmm.
is the governing force of our health. And you're also strengthening your nervous system, which allows you to actually deal with more and take on more, but not feel like you can't
overwhelmed.
Do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I think that's why the practice found me, because I had to learn to completely rebuild my nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
I was so fried after consuming a lot of MDMA, like
Mm-hmm.
every week, without allowing my brain to like properly heal itself, and my lightning incident, and just having all these different situations and traumas and depression and all these things. And so the practice, in a way, it's kind of like your story, it finds you,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
it's like, you just have to be willing to be open to that, and calling in more of that simplicity, calling in more of that alignment,
Mm-hmm.
calling in that radiance, and allowing yourself to just follow that path.
And give yourself entire permission, like 100% permission, like whatever we would like to say it as, but like giving yourself so much permission to be vibrant,
Mm-hmm.
and to share and to radiate and to be that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of our society has been taught like that it's conceited if you're too vibrant, or you're this or that, and there's so much judgment. And like when you walk around and you see people, they're so dazed, they're sleepwalking through their life because they've been taught for so long that don't speak too much, don't share too much, don't be too loud, don't laugh too loud, don't giggle that much, like all of these things. And it's like, well, like what is gone on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think this has been part of the like claiming your power back and honoring your worth.
Mm-hmm.
And this is part of creating your reality, is like taking responsibility for your energy, and like having those boundaries, and taking care of yourself, and using that and simplifying your life in a way that just, it feels more than enough.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're such a society of instant gratification, and the more is more kind of mindset. But I think a lot of people are waking up from that too right now.
I feel so too. I go like less and less and less and less, and can I have less? Like that? I feel like
it's less stress, right? It's less energy that we have to navigate through,
and less things to manage.
Yeah, totally.
That's how I see it. People always ask when is the happiest when was like your peak of happiness, or they'll like something around that. And I said, when I didn't own anything but what was on my back and I was living in a van, because it was simple. And now I've taken that and have taught myself how to still feel that, but with a house now. And that was a big, interesting journey, because I felt so stagnant for so long. And I was like, oh, I have to fill this thing now. Like, and I'm like, oof, like it felt heavy. And
yeah, like there was like a responsibility to have a
just
lot
a
of
house.
stuff. Yeah.
And that we can feel so incredibly full when we take care of ourselves, that is our governing way of being, is that we take care of ourselves so we can take care of others, and we can come together. And that, what you have in the material world is actually truly just something, and it doesn't define you.
That's part of that like worldly ish, like being like worried about the world, like the weight of the world, and that's sometimes I think we forget that we're spiritual beings having that human experience.
Yeah. Often people do, and they just let the day-to-day run them. And they forget that they have choice. And that they have choice, and that they've created their reality, and that you also have a choice to unravel that and then rediscover what you want. And it's okay to change at any moment. It's okay to choose something different. And just allowing yourself to have that.
Definitely. And I think that's part of the way that you also like reclaim your power, by like honoring your boundaries in a way of, what is the world telling me I need to be, and how do I actually choose to be in that way. So I would love to
work.
Yeah, gosh. Well, I would love to, going back with like the bodies and the health, because I know that's something I've been really focused on a lot lately, with like doing parasite flushes and eating clean and all these things. And I'm like doing a whole system reboot right now. So I'm like feeling the ups and downs.
You're feeling it all.
Yeah, I'm like, shit. Like yesterday was a really challenging day. And I was like, fuck it, I'm moving out of the country for like a year. And then I was like, why am I running away? Like, that's not the answer. Like, but that's where my mind went. So I really want to talk about what you're seeing with health. And there's so much, because I feel like there's a lot more talk about the path of our cycles. There's so much more talk about gut health. I've had Robin Euclid on the podcast. There's like all these different things, because I feel like our physical health is a perfect representation as well of our financial health.
Yeah. When we look at, if we were to pull in all of the information of what our core is, what chakras lie there, what happens within this middle space of our body, what do? We eat so that we assimilate food. So we eat to get this nutrients from this food. Well, I hope that's why you're eating, to gain health and to gain nutrients, and not just eating food that is empty food, we call it, like in nutrition. In a previous life of mine as a holistic nutritionist, we'd call it as empty food. So food that actually doesn't give you anything in return. It just bogs your system down, and you end up creating a lot more work for your body. So we take in this food, or this drink or supplement, to elevate our health and to do good. And it's within what kind of structure we have. What is the actual foundation of your core? Your core is where everything comes from. Your core is the seat of everything. It's the seat of also your finance, your financial wealth, your creation. It's a seat of self-esteem, your confidence. It's very, very close to the seat of groundedness and your safety. It's the seat of also your connection with, if you're, you know, a woman, with your womb, and, you know, as a man. So it's the seat of everything. And if we don't have a strong, healthy core, we will have imbalance within our giving and receiving energy of how we operate. So giving, whether it's purchasing something or selling something and having something in return, because the actual assimilation of your body isn't healed, it isn't strong, and it isn't nourished. And so thinking about your financial situation as a reflection of your internal gut health. And then for women specifically, I am not a man, and I haven't delved into the masculine actual structures of what the man goes through. But as a woman and experiencing the health of my womb space and the connection of that space is just as important as what we eat and how we eat and how we treat our body. It's the seat of our creation. We create life from this space. And so all of these areas are all in one spot in our body. If we look at it, they're all in one spot. It's in the midsection. But a lot of entrepreneurs don't eat well. They don't even drink enough water in a day.
They're always on the go, on their computers.
Yeah, and they're just like getting the quick fix. So they're going to be highly, you know, lots of caffeine, lots of sugar, lots of like quick things. Which, I mean, there's a lot of healthy options we have nowadays that are quick, but they're within an auric food, like they're within vibrancy of taking that. We should only be putting things into our body that creates more vibrancy. And so that means colors. And so if you're not eating a colorful regime, like if you're not eating ample amount of colors, then you're not going to be nourished. And then that means that there's going to be leakages or excess bacteria or certain ailments that come into the physical plane. And we have to remember that we have multiple energetic bodies that actually start to feel the imbalance before our physical body does. The physical body is the last spot of manifestation. And the health, the seat of our health is our digestive system, where we detox. So what are we letting go of? What aren't we letting go of in the physical world? Are we not letting go of a certain product or service because we're so incredibly attached to it because it makes some sort of income, but we're not within alignment anymore? But then you're also not detoxing and allowing your body to let go, or maybe your bowel movements, you don't even have a bowel movement, or it's like very long, the bowel in between bowel movements. And this is all a representation of the giving and receiving. Just like what we do is we feed ourselves multiple times a day. And then we're feeding our businesses, but we're so attached to the business because it gives you tangible results. It's giving you money, like numbers, right? It's giving you these actual percentiles, and you can see the growth. Whereas your health, the growth of what you see is how you feel. And what does it feel like? And you can't measure that. Mm-hmm. We can to a certain extent, but you can't measure that.
Measure with your energy, you know, and that's where it's important for you to take a step back and recognize like the habits that you're doing, you know, what are you doing? And I'm writing my book right now, and that's what I was just writing about, was talking about our worthiness is really tied into our habits. You know, people who believe that they're worthy of themselves, they're going to be investing their time, their money, and their energy in themselves. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And their habits, like healthy habits.
Yeah. And it's really beautiful because when you actually start to clean out your physical body, and you change your eating patterns, and you start to eat healthier, or you go on a certain cleanse because it's time to really just amplify that space into, because there's layers, right? There's so many layers of our body. Your whole business starts to shift. You are able to receive more. You're able to actually ingest more information and more strategy so that you can evolve that space too. It's all in the seat of the same spot. And if we're not taking care of our health, then eventually the business will crumble. because we are the foundation of it. Our gut is the foundation of our business. It's just in a form that business strategy doesn't tell you so. It's not like put X, Y, and Z together and click this automated button and then you get this. It's like, well, we're multi-dimensional beings, and business is like that too. But the first spot, if something's not happening in your business, to look at your health and what have you been doing. And maybe sometimes it's okay, like we all do this, like get distracted. And it's just a point of focus to come back to. It's an access point for you to understand.
Just a little detour.
Just a little detour of something fun. and it happens, right? Because we also eat food from all around the world if we travel. And that means I went through parasites. It's very normal, and it's not to feel shameful or guilty, or not guilty, but shame or pain or embarrassment or anything like that if you're experiencing a certain symptom.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was really hard for me.
That's just going to make it worse, right? Like, how is that? That's not the loving kindness that your body is craving. Like, I think that's the thing, especially as business people, like we can be so hard on ourselves because we feel like we have such a mission to do on this planet, and like the world's relying on us to show up fully. And then because of that, if we feel like we're not meeting like to the standard that we see ourselves, that's where the shame can come through.
Yeah. And for women with their hormones and their relationship with their womb, many, and this doesn't go for every woman, but many, many women don't even know what it's like to have a cycle, to actually be connected to her cycle, to feel liberation within experiencing her cycle, and to love her cycle, to love her womb space. I didn't grow up like that. I was told, okay, here, get on birth control. You're not really like experiencing a cycle, and you have a boyfriend now, so you just need to be on birth control. That was it. That was the end of the conversation. And my mom was just going, well, I don't want my daughter to get pregnant while she's in high school. So like, yeah, let's put you on birth control. Like that was just her level of awareness. And not all women go through that. But it's taken me 7 years. I've been on a journey of this for over 7 years of getting off the cycle and rebalancing and actually understanding. And I've went through many, many things within this space that some women might never experience. But I had to experience those to actually listen to what my womb was saying.
Yeah.
Like, here, Britt, here's a little nudge. It was like, this is what we're going to give you, and you're going to now listen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's powerful. I know with me growing up with my cycle, I had like really, really painful cycles since I had my first cycle, where I'm like projectile vomiting. I'm like, I can't move, all these things. And it wasn't until I started to really honor my womb space and listen to what she was telling me and started to eat healthier and respect myself better that I could actually start to function when I had my moon, which I wasn't able to do that for over 14 years, like maybe even longer. So that's been a really fascinating space. And it's a really hot topic right now with women, like getting their IUDs out, and they're getting off birth control, and they're tracking their cycles. They're
waking up.
Yeah. They're remembering what it's about. And I think there's also, even just the talking about waking up, what we're putting in, like the idea of like toxic tampons and how what's going inside and how that's, creating what it has. And PCOS is kind of on the rise right now. And all of these different things that our womb is trying to tell us to create. I also think it's a huge part of why children are kind of also not really coming in as well too, because a lot of people are having a hard time getting pregnant, and it's because
there's hormones in our water. It's in some You know, even men can experience hormonal changes because of the actual artificial hormones that are in our water because they don't break down.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the importance of this space is the one thing that we all carry. It's the one magic and creative space. It holds all of our ancestral patterns of where we've come from.
Mm-hmm.
It
And the pituitary gland too, right?
mm-hmm.
So the pituitary gland is what's secreting our hormones, and a lot of
Yeah.
our pituitary and our pineal glands have been kind of skewed based
Yeah.
off of these hormones in our food, and which has actually hindered us from tapping into our intuition, which
Mm-hmm.
I feel is where business is really shifting as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like we've been taught to be quiet. It's like the whole world is like, oh, let's not have people wake up, because when they wake up, they're going to actually express their truth,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to actually stand there within their boundaries, and they're going to stand there within what actually resonates the most, and they're going to use their voice, and they're going to change this world, and they're going to change all of it. And so I feel like it's just been a big cover up. And like, if we have too many people that have been waking up, then oh dear, like things are going to happen
Well, thank
in
God
our
people are
society.
waking up.
But people are waking up, and it's beautiful because when we wake up, we serve more. We selfless serve, like we serve more, and we have our power, and we understand, and we create more of a homeostasis, you know, the balance within the body and within our environment and within our community. And that each time we do that, and each time a woman goes off of the pill, she's choosing herself, and she's choosing her entire being. And when a woman does that, then, well,
it's really powerful to be a woman in this time. I know there's a lot of shit we're going through, but it's also seeing like what's happening and seeing people really like taking a stand and really speaking their truth and using their voice.
I love it. Like, I love hearing a woman get, like, use her voice and stand up for something so incredibly strongly about what she believes in. Mm-hmm. I love it, whether I have any opinion or anything I just love seeing it. I have nothing. I don't have an opinion or judgment. I just love witnessing it and going, yes, like that's what it's about.
Let's just hope they're educated when they're saying what they're saying.
Yes. Yeah. Let's hope they're educated and they actually aren't just like following Facebook ad little posts or something like that. But you know, within a woman seeing her truth and actually witnessing the energy of where it comes from, because you can hear it in their voice. You can hear
conviction.
And
that conviction is what speaks. And I feel like whatever side you're on with your beliefs, like we need to be having these conversations where we can also hear each other out and share those passions, you know. And this is the Aquarian Age, is a time of cooperation and community. So we can't continue to drive these wedges between us just because of, you know, difference of opinion if we don't hear each other out as well. Yeah. It's a very interesting space. And I feel like a lot of women are really fired up right now. Like this is definitely the year of the woman, but with that, we have to also make sure that we're honoring the men as well, because a lot of men are cutting through a lot of shit, especially around feelings, you know, and shaming, you know, like big boys don't cry and all of these feelings that are perfectly human to feel. So it's a very interesting like renaissance that's kind of happening right now, and seeing how, you know, how can we continue to come together and support each other with that. And it's what's making business very specific right now too. Like it's a lot more focused, you know, it's a lot more intentioned and really honed in. But how do you see business and entrepreneurship shifting right now?
I feel that business is shifting into a space of feeling, into a space of allowing yourself to actually be, and to to truly wake up from what you are doing and what energy that you're putting into. So where your energy is going, and if there's an imbalance of what is truth to you, that people are shifting. And that's why you see so many people starting their own businesses, and or even just changing jobs, or people leaving one career for the next, because there's a truth of people want to be devoted to what truth is to them. They want to be devoted to what feels good, so that they have purpose in their life, and they're not just living this
complacency.
And they're not just I see business moving into a space of also deep unity together. I feel like I witness a lot of people coming together within the same competitive market, or whatever you would like to call it. But, you'll see two juice, like organic cold pressed juice businesses, come together and collaborate on this certain event. Whereas a lot of times, especially where I've been more witnessing, there's a lot of separation between even yoga studios and these places of unity, right? These places of really great intention. But there's this like underlying fear and scarcity. And I feel like people are really waking up into the truth of like, this is why I'm doing it, because this is what feels good. And I want to be part of these people, because we're going to lift everything up together. And I also feel like people are really, really understanding that it is like so incredibly important to stop exchanging time for money, and that you don't have to go and give someone your 8 hours for that X amount of money. And there's different ways to cultivate the wealth so that you can deepen your understanding of your body.
What do you mean by that? Like, what does that look like to you?
Oh, like for time and money exchange? Yeah. I feel as though there's awakening of different creative ways to generate the income, to serve in a deeper way, to serve more people, because we have a platform of the internet, which is global, and that we can serve our community, but in a global scale now, which then creates a shift of time management, because you can create now products and services and courses and reach more people. So you're not even thinking about your marketplace really, because it's not like, oh, I only have a community of X amount of people that live in my town or my city, and that's all that my community goes to. So I just feel like there's this awakening within, I see it in businesses, in brick and mortar businesses here, that they're starting to tap into going, oh wait, how can I better serve my community, but in a way that doesn't exchange as much time for me to give them the value. So just really different creative ways, truly. That's what it relates to me. It's different creative ways, right? Because we are in a space where we can collaborate with people now, and we can lift each other up by supporting each other and having that exchange.
Honor each other's strengths. Like, my strengths would probably be different than your strengths, so let's collaborate and create a super strength,
Yeah, like super strength. I love that. And it's like giving yourself permission to also be compensated for the work and the recommendations you give to people. And people love that, because then it's a trusted community.
Definitely.
But there's so many ways we can create income now, and people are waking up to, oh, I don't have to go work for this other person, that I'm building their wealth, and I'm just getting X amount. And people are so worthy of way more.
Yeah, and that it goes all back to that worthiness of like how you respect yourself, how are you treating yourself, how are you honoring yourself.
Yeah. And if you want to go work for someone, you can do that too.
Definitely.
I'd love someone to come and be my assistant as well. Again, please.
Calling out, right?
Calling out, come on.
Yeah.
Call it in. And so that's where I see it. I see that people are starting to actually understand that there's no need to work the way we used to work in the generations before.
Yeah, because I know, like, you know, a lot of our parents' generations and stuff, they've worked for companies for like 40 years.
Yeah,
And
my dad's that.
saying, it's wild. And they're like, oh, you guys, you are always fleeting and moving. But I feel like the generations from now on, that's what it's going to be as well.
Yeah.
Because we understand the preciousness of time. And
Mhm.
so we're going to honor what most values, you know, what values our time, what experiences actually values our time, and also honoring the worthiness of what of our compensation for that.
Mhm. Yeah, I see it a lot in sacred businesses, yoga teachers and Reiki practitioners and holistic nutritionists, and psychics, and people that are coming from, you know, their channeling and their service is being channeled from their heart center up, right? They're channeling, they're working with spirit very, very intimately, and but they don't charge. They don't charge the physical currency, which we all deal with, is money, because it's of a greater purpose and it's of a greater service. But then they're left in a situation where, you know, they might not have savings in there to maybe eventually just not work, or, you know, they don't have the ability to invest in themselves, or, you know, there's certain sacrifices that they're making and they're not being compensated for their true divine work that they're actually providing someone.
So how can
Um,
people start to shift their perception about money?
Cleaning up your gut. Really, really, like, there's so, I mean, I can think of like 6 different things that someone would need to start working with. But the biggest thing is starting to look at money as infinitely abundant, no matter what your situation is, and to bless every interaction, because that raises your vibration and that will call in more opportunities, and really diving deep into your gut health and your worth, and why are you charging what you're charging, and what does that business formula look like to you, so that you can, you know, give back to the way that you want to, you can invest into yourself. And so there's many different pillars of it that would need to be looked at, so that you do create a whole business, like one that's holistic, like holy, like full on and full round and circular. But it's as simple as just shifting your perception of what money is, and that there is no lack. We don't, my partner, he's amazing. He goes, Britt, and we're on our walk, and he's like, look at how many blades of grass there are. How abundantly. We don't go walking around thinking, oh dear, the blades of grass are disappearing, or our breath is, you know, there's like, oh, I got to stop breathing, you know, there's lack of breath, or, you know, we know it's infinite. But why have we been telling ourselves that money can't be infinite in our life, that we can't be highly compensated?
I think a lot of it's also ancestral. It's like unconscious.
Yeah,
you know?
it is.
Like we like 2 generations from a lot of people that listen to this, our grandparents were the Great Depression, you know? So it's really not that far away, and it skips a generation, a lot of things too. So I think that's why we as young adults, you know, like we're like clearing through a lot of this as well, is because that was in our DNA, you know? That's what I know. That's for me, what the practice of Kundalini yoga has really helped me really transmute is.
I was about to mention that too, like Kundalini and womb health.
Yeah.
Like really looking at your womb. We experienced, this is my 3rd angel baby, in summer. And the amount of ancestral healing that I have moved through this 3rd time is like no other. And if I wasn't pulled into that space based off of the experience we went through this summer, I don't know if I would have reached the level of awareness of the generations and the ancestral patterns, of what was happening, right? Like listening to our grandma, and my grandma, she's 92, and she talks about just her whole life. and really seeing that as such beautiful, beautiful knowledge and something so sacred to keep in your heart, but know that it's not yours anymore. Like it isn't ours. And so I was experiencing these ancestral healing moments where I'm like, this, what I'm feeling isn't mine, but it's from a lineage. It's from someone that is tied to me.
Because people don't understand also when you do the work, you really heal 7 generations behind you. And if you are the pattern disruptor, you are healing the 7 generations after you as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And so doing that, and it can be simple as just getting curious with how you interact with it every single day.
Mm-hmm.
I had a client and dear friend. I asked her to clean out her wallet last night. I said, you need to go and clean out your wallet and take it into your room, into your ritual, and create a sacred, like create your practice that you do with your yoga and your breath, but do this with your wallet now. And I want you to clean out your wallet and take out anything that doesn't feel good. I want you to bless every single card you use, put in gemstones or affirmations, something that feels good, whether it's a photo, maybe just whatever feels really abundant to you. And I want you to bless your wallet. And every time you use that wallet, see this as an exchange and as a service to give and to receive, and that it's always infinite, just like our breath. And regardless of the numbers, I said, just feel into that. And she woke up and she told me today on the phone that she had 4 other people inquire and 2 other collaborations come through and another order come through in the morning.
Amazing.
You know, and so by feeling that and realizing that it doesn't have to be the deep ancestral as well. You're going to have to go there one time, like you will go there and you're going to have to deal with that. But you can start to shift it by these little rituals of how you interact with it, because you are doing that cellular shifting of the 7 generations behind and the 7 forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I've been doing with mending the lineage. My 40-day Kundalini activation is just because, like, the piece begins with us, right? Mm-hmm. And so, us taking that responsibility and having that choice that it ends here. And also, you know, if I think the biggest thing too is your actions speak so much louder than words. And if you are like around your family and you're radiating your truth, your Satnam, and you're in this space, it's going to be really fascinating to see your family members being like, what is she doing? Or what is he doing? Like, I want to know what the secret is. And that's how we start to really shift our lineage and heal, is just by us taking that action. And then the family seeing that something has shifted, and then that curiosity being sparked. And then that what really allows them to feel comfortable to also dive in, because there's a lot deeper layers that they are working through as well, that that are, you know, more years on us. And
my dad, he always goes, but you've always been able to manifest whatever you've wanted. And I want to know how. And he literally spoke these words to my mom when they were down in Mexico. They go there every year. And they were down, and my mom called me and she said, you would never guess what Dad just asked me. And it's cool because, and that's the power of if we live within our truth and when we walk our path. Yes, it's uncomfortable and there's this fear of change because you might lose someone, or, you know, you can get caught up in that. But it's if you walk your truth and you walk your path, they will ask. Like, I could have been like, oh, you know, I can't do that. Or, speaking something to my father or mother that doesn't align with them. No, it's about just doing it because it feels good. And even with my partner, we do this, like if it feels really, really good for one of us, obviously playing that dance, but that it's meant to happen, and that we both need to surrender and allow that person, because then we allow more to be cultivated in others. So when I just kept walking my path and walking my truth, and my parents not really understanding why I needed to do what and why I like left when I was 18 across the world, that now they see it. and they're like, she needed to do that. And there's no resistance.
It's the trusting of self too.
Trusting of self. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trusting yourself and walking your truth, knowing that when you walk your truth, you're going to allow someone else to walk their truth. And you might never know, but you don't have to. But that's where we start to heal this planet, and we start to evolve our consciousness, is that when we do it ourselves.
Yeah, because that's what permeates out. And I think also with the shift in business is that people have a higher bullshit meter too. So
yeah,
people are able to be like, that's not like resonating with me, or like, yes.
Yeah. There's something in my eye.
Definitely. So, and I know you have like your membership portal that's just opened, and talking about that. What's the intention with that?
Yeah, it's called The Space Between. And it's the space between the business strategy, the actual systems and structure that we use to help ground the creative energy and help to take what our creative energy is and put it into the manifestation of this physical plane. So it's all about the systems and strategy and soulmate work, your soulmate client work, and then it's also the ritual and the auric field and the energy systems with Kundalini, Cacao, our gut health. And it's the space between the breath, just like that pause. That's where it comes through for me, it's the pause in between and that dance of balance. And so it's going to be a space where you can access practices and rituals, worksheets for your mindset, moving through blockages, limiting beliefs, really understanding your gut health, work around money and gut health, and then also the business strategy of how to do live trainings and webinars and those aspects of online businesses. And it's going to just be this portal where you can come in and hop in and do the practice of the inner work or the physical system work as well. And so that's going to be coming out here before the end of the year. And so we'll have all of the links in the show notes, but
it's on the show notes.
Yeah, I'm deeply, this has been cultivating for quite a while, and to be able to be of service in a way that someone can tap into that energy and work with me in a more intimate space, but whenever, feels just so incredibly magical.
Yeah. Okay, so to wrap up, well, also real fast on talk, you also have your podcast, How to Be, right?
Yeah,
started that too.
So How to Be is all states of being, and it's all about the unraveling conversation and stories that get left out in our journey. So we have everyone from just always being. I have so many beautiful, incredible, a lot of women. We're getting some brothers on the episode here. We're going to have some brother episodes here because I feel so deeply into the divine masculine, and I really, really want to cultivate that conversation. But it's really about celebration of all ways of being, because that's just
life.
It's just life, right? You just got to come all together and just be.
Definitely.
So,
but I hear you too with like having the brothers on. That's why I shift too from Sovereign Society podcast to Sovereign Goddess podcast to Sovereign Society, because I also didn't want to feel like I was exclusive, and that kind of thing. So I hear you with that.
Yeah, it's amazing that we attract, like I attract sisters. Like always, but I've been calling in the brothers, and I keep having all these brothers appear, and it's so beautiful. And I'm like, okay, can we all come on the podcast now? Because the sisters needs the brothers on the podcast.
There's balance. That's part of the balance.
It is, because we have, no matter if we're walking in a physical, the physical reality of a woman or a man in this world right now, we dance with both.
Deeper sense of compassion too, and understanding.
Yeah. So I have the podcast and then the subscription launching here.
Amazing. Okay, so let's do some lightning round questions. I love to ask at the end of every interview. What does sovereignty mean to you?
Stillness is coming through.
Powerful.
So, yeah.
Amazing. Okay, perfect. Stillness. What would you say has been a really powerful animal totem for you lately?
The swan.
The swan. I've never heard that one on this episode. What about the swan that's been powerful?
I feel like the swan has so much grace, and the swan is just flowing and moving through whatever is presented with least resistance. Yeah, and there's a lot of grace there. Swan is, to me, also represents the divine mother of, right now, I'm a mother to many things, but not to a little earth child.
Beautiful. I love that. Okay, so what would you share with younger Brittany?
Just go for it. Just go for it. That's what I would share. I felt so incredibly held back to share my truth. So just to go and express and to dance and to never, ever, ever, never dim your light. The sun doesn't dim their light. The sun doesn't. Sun never dims.
Totally.
Just shining.
Yes. Permission to keep shining. Amazing.
Yeah.
And what would you share with someone who is listening, that's just coming from your heart, whatever is arising based off what we shared and talked about today?
There's so much coming through all at once. What wants to come through? To never underestimate the truth of what you can create in your life, and to just keep moving one step forward and to do the work, because the work is what's going to allow you to actually witness what is truly out there for you, and that you're so incredibly worthy of witnessing everything that you want.
Amazing.
And to do Kundalini.
And to do Kundalini, yeah.
And to come practice Kundalini, please.
Yeah. Some like breath of fire, and just let us know how that supports you. Amazing. So where can we find more? I know all the show notes, it's all below, but where else can we find you?
Brittany C. Reid on Instagram. That's where I seem to be dancing the most in right now. I'm always on Instagram stories sharing all the things about food, womb, business, all of it, money, all of those things, Kundalini. That is the space where you'll find me the most. I do have a website, brittanyreid.ca, and also on Facebook. We have a private Facebook group, Sacred Millionaire, and this is where we bridge the gap between the money and the sacredness, and knowing that you can walk a sacred life with being as wealthy as a billionaire, whatever you want. And I have created that space is to give people full permission that they can have their sacred life of ceremony and of depth of truth and walking within their practice, but they can also have the wealth of any size. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, I do like live trainings, and I hop on and I drink a bunch of coffee or reishi or chaga or cacao or tea.
Some adaptogen,
different mugs, and it's a fun place.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Brittany, for sharing all of your wisdom and for being another one of my Waheguru sisters here, and for doing the work and really helping people take ownership of their energy, honor their bodies, and understand that you could have whatever it is you desire. And
so true.
You could have whatever it is you desire. There's nothing stopping you but you and your beliefs. So
I thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in, and keep us in flow with what, with how, if you've experienced Kundalini yoga, if you're finding like, fine, now it's time for me to dive in, let us
Yes.
know.
Yes, please let us know.
It'll
Come.
change your life.
Yeah, come. And it's all about dabbling, just try it out. Like, and if it doesn't resonate, it's all good, but just experience. And I'll tell you that it's probably going to resonate really deeply. But
Definitely.
yes, please share.
Thanks.
Yes, and I love receiving direct messages and private messages. You will get a video response back. So if anyone has any question at any time, I'm here.
Yay, we're all in this together, right?
We rise together.
Yes, we've got you. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll be seeing you soon. Take care. Sat Nam.